Buckingham Palace says King Charles will be in hospital next week to undergo what it calls a corrective procedure for an enlarged prostate. The palace says the King's condition is benign. Meanwhile, we also learned today that the Princess of Wales, Catherine Middleton, is in hospital following surgery. Kensington Palace says she will remain there for some time. Abby Dawson has more details.
Kensington Palace has confirmed that the Princess of Wales has had a scheduled abdominal surgery in London. They say the successful operation took place on Tuesday, and Catherine Middleton is expected to remain in hospital anywhere between 10 to 14 days. Kensington Palace tells CBC News that the procedure is not in any way linked to cancer treatment. The palace says she will postpone her engagements, most likely until after Easter. They say the princess is sorry about missing planned events. Meanwhile, royal sources say Prince William will postpone some of his own engagements to be with his family and that he will not partake in any official engagement while his wife remains in hospital. The palace also says it will not provide further public updates unless there is significant news to share. Abby Dawson, CBC News, Berlin.
For more on both of these royal announcements, we're joined now by Katie Nicholl. She, of course, is a royal commentator at Vanity Fair, and we've reached her in London. Welcome to the program. We always appreciate having your insights.
Thank you.
Now, Katie, you just heard we were talking about the two announcements there. What more do you know about the situations?
Well, we're told that the princess is doing well. We know that she had this surgery yesterday. We know it was abdominal surgery, but we don't know what it was for, and we don't know any details of the actual surgery. I think I can tell you that, anyone that's going to be in hospital between 10 and 14 days, that's a pretty good indicator that it was major surgery, and this was not a minor procedure. However, I think it's very unlikely that we're going to get further details. I will say, Hannah, that it's unusual to be given, in fact, any detail about a medical procedure regarding a senior member of the royal family. So highly unusual that within 90 minutes of that announcement out of Kensington Palace, we were getting another announcement about the King with equally detailed medical information. I've done this job for many, many years and have reported on health matters, most recently, of course, the late Queen Elizabeth, but that was always kept incredibly private. The idea that we'd be told what type of surgery was highly unusual. And I think Kensington Palace have done this for two reasons, really. One is to sort of retain control of the narrative. In the briefing that we had here over in the UK, we were told that they understood that this was going to attract huge global attention. Of course, it's making headlines not just here in Britain, but over in Canada too. And I think there's a want to control this narrative. And of course, they are parents to 3 young children. They want the children's lives to be as unaffected as possible. We know that the Prince of Wales, Prince William, is going to be taking some time off official engagements as well. But, this is a private matter, so it's unusual to be given some detail, but I think details will be few and far between.
So I want to stick with the princess for just a moment before we move to the king. You just mentioned that the prince will also be taking time off. How unexpected was that for you as well?
Well, I think given that the couple have a busy program of events, this was unexpected. I don't think anyone was aware of the fact that the princess had been admitted yesterday, least of all that she was going to be undergoing very serious surgery. She's always been a picture of health. Yes, she did have difficulty within her pregnancies with hyperemesis gravidarum. She was hospitalized during her first pregnancy with Prince George. And we know that she had a small operation done on her head. She's got a small scar on the side of her head from a childhood operation. Again, we have no details of that. But for the most part, the princess has always been very fit, very active and very healthy. So this definitely has come as a surprise. Is it a surprise that Prince William is taking some time off work? Absolutely not. He's a hands-on father. He's a devoted husband, and he's going to want to be there for his wife as she goes through a pretty testing period of recovery, I would imagine. As I say, if it's 14 days in hospital, that would signal pretty major surgery. So I think everyone just, wishes the princess the best for a speedy and full recovery.
Absolutely. And then maybe you can tell us what more you might know about King Charles.
Well, we do know a bit more about King Charles. Again, very unusual to get this level of detail from Buckingham Palace, but in the statement they released and the briefing that journalists over here on the ground have had, we understand it's going to be a corrective procedure. He will be going into hospital next week for a corrective procedure on what we understand is a benign enlarged prostate. And we understand the reason the King wanted this, some might consider very private information made public, was actually to raise awareness so that other men get checked. It's not an unusual condition for men in their 70s. In fact, it's incredibly common, and this is hopefully a pretty straightforward procedure. But again, I think we see the King doing a little something like the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. You know, she went public with her diagnosis to encourage women to get screened. And I think this is the sort of royals really leading by example. But as I say, we're seeing a real shift here because the idea that private health matters would be publicly discussed or put in the public domain is incredibly unusual. Perhaps, as I say, this is the palace's way of them being able to control the narrative, because as you know, the announcement that the Princess of Wales simply had gone into hospital would have caused complete mayhem. Rumours, speculation would have been rife. This way, the palace is controlling the story.
Yeah, very good point there. Now, there are the two senior royals who are out of commission for a time frame. We know that the princess won't return until after Easter. I'm not 100% sure when the king will be back, but in the meantime, who fills in?
Well, we just had an engagement announcement. I can't say where, but an engagement announcement for the Queen next week. So it's business as usual for the Queen, even with her husband going into hospital. I think you'll see the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh stepping up to the plate and Princess Anne. So there are, of course, other members of the royal family who will carry out the good work. Some suggestion over who will take over duties for the King if he's incapacitated in any way. Will that go to councillors of state, who, of course, include Prince William and, controversially, Prince Andrew? We understand it's not going to get to that degree of seriousness, that the King should be back to work pretty soon. And again, he is also incredibly fit for a man of 75. He eats very well. He has a strictly organic diet. He does a military exercise regime every morning. So I think he will come through this very quickly and he'll be back at work sooner than we all expect. But of course, you know, this does raise questions about having an aging monarch. And I think when it comes to issues like councillors of state and who would act in place of the King when the King is incapacitated, well, that does raise an important question. But on this health matter, I think it's safe to say we can expect the King to make a quick recovery. This is pretty standard.
Katie Nicholl, thank you for your insights from London. We always appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.